is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we return with Eleine. Great to be able to talk with you guys. Thanks again for being here.
Happy to be here.
Likewise.
Any
Very happy to be here again.
Anytime, anytime. As I was saying before, after the horrific year of 2020, Dancing in Hell was definitely the best album I thought to end that crazy year with. And thank you for giving us more. We got the Acoustic in Hell EP coming out very soon. Being that you're expressing these songs acoustically, do you feel like that this maybe adds a different type of meaning or expresses the songs in maybe a different type of emotion than what we would hear on Dancing in Hell in a way?
I mean, I don't think that a different meaning because it is the same meaning within the song. But I do feel that people who don't regularly listen to metal will have an opportunity to listen to this
Yeah, and actually get it
or
in a way.
take an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what I myself appreciate, you know. It's songs from all three albums in our discography, and it was a great challenge, so to speak, to do this thing, but it was so much fun. It was
It
actually
was.
really fun, and we're only doing this all in the honor of the tour we were invited on, as special guest to Sonata Arctica. And I mean, when it was postponed to this year of 2022, we just felt that, yeah, of course we should record
Mm.
it, you know? It is a very fun thing. And I mean, we always do what we think is good, what we feel is great, what we feel is right. But I gotta say, I was not surprised me, but I was very grateful to hear the feedback from the fans now.
Mm.
Like now when we're talking, we've released two singles from it, and just wow.
Mm.
I just did not expect that much, you know. It's very sweet to see how it's appreciated
Yeah,
more than us just having fun while doing it.
yeah, and even by hardcore metal fans, they're like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit, this is like acoustic, but it's metal and acoustic." So
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, we could have taken the opportunity to, or we could have taken the road to make ballads of every song, but you know that is not what we felt is acoustic to us, because with doing that, I feel that you take away the meaning of the song and the essence of the song, the harsh, the heavy, complex riffs here and there. Those are key parts within songs, and we wanted to keep it raw and authentic.
And you definitely did that, and kind of like what you said about like the whole metal thing. I think it's very metal in its own right because it's very dark and very raw and atmospheric. It's unsettling. I think it instills goosebumps, which I think is more metal than a lot of things that some death metal bands could do. So like I think in the
Yeah.
end, I think it really represents a different side of who you all are. And by bringing songs from all over the Elaine catalog, from the self-titled to Until the End and Dancing in Hell, do you think that maybe you have discovered new songs that maybe, or discovered new elements of these songs that maybe you didn't necessarily feel before or see before when initially writing it originally?
Not really, but we did explore more corners or nooks and crannies of each song to make it more groovy within the sense of being acoustic.
Yeah.
I really like that question. I gotta add that.
That's
I
a
really
good
do.
question. We have
It's a very
heard
good one.
variants of that question,
Yeah.
but this one was by far the best.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, because you got me thinking there. I was sitting here like watching the sky, just like, well, what did I think? And now when I'm thinking about it, I mean, as Hell Moon, I've always loved that song because it's very epic, it's very monumental. For me, it's like this arena vibe, you know, the big sound. And the way it sounds now in the acoustic is so groovy. And I just love that version. It is still the same song, but a different kind of clothing on it. I just really liked it. It's a
Yeah.
good question.
Thank
Loved
you.
it.
And you
Got me thinking there.
and you mentioned the whole arena thing, which is why I loved Dancing in Hell. As I said before, Crawl from the Ashes, which I think is one of my favorite songs really in this style. But the whole album feels like a symphony. It almost seems like it's I call it the hellish wonderland in a way. If or maybe like we have Disneyland, maybe you guys could be the soundtrack to Dismal Land in a way, as I would say.
Hey,
I love this.
hey. Again with the puns, man. I love it. I love it.
I do the best I can. But when you are like, I don't know if Dancing in Hell was intended to be a concept album, but I do feel like this album is really provides a lot of imagery. I feel like going from Enemies to Dancing in Hell to Ava of Death, etc., it's like meant to be. But when you were making this acoustic album and you were bringing songs from all different sides of the catalog, did that maybe add a little bit of contrast, or maybe add a layer of meaning, or maybe bring a new type of imagery when playing all the songs together from the catalog?
Mm. Um, we put a lot of thought and effort into our albums, but I wouldn't go as far to say that we have as a concept as such. I mean, you can put much thought into it, but you can also put too much thought into it. What we always do is that we look towards ourselves and do what feels right. I mean, we write about what we see, what we know, and what we feel. And this is what comes out. And within that, there is something that is empowering. So that is what we've been talking about for just the recent years, that our music is very, very empowering. So everything we write about is basically that in some sense. Like, it's not like you can do it, but it's like talking about stuff that has happened to ourselves, to people we know, and others find strength in that, and also unity, and that becomes empowering. So when we did Acoustic in Hell, looking back through our discography, we picked the songs that made the best dynamic groove wise and sound wise within the acoustic release. And within all this, it is still empowering music. So that is the beauty of it, to always try to stay true to yourself, even if that means you venture towards some other meaning within your songs. But this is what we've come to write about.
I think
I need to add again. I'm so sorry, Alex, but I need to add again. You have some great questions.
Thank
Because
you.
no, it's not a concept albums ever in that manner, just like you said, Rickard. But really, I sat here and I was thinking about the songs from Dancing in Hell, how you go from all the kinds of struggles and things you go through in life, because we all experience them, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we are all going through stuff, each and every one of us. And that, if you, so yeah, it's not a concept, but it has this thread within it, you know, because every album we do is from a period in our lives. And that also actually applies to Acoustic in Hell.
Yeah.
Within all of the recordings, we had things happening in our lives and
Definitely.
whatnot. So yeah, even if it's picked from all three albums from before, it still has this thing, you know, and it's very interesting.
I'm sorry, by the way, for completely hogging the answer
No,
there for the
no.
first half hour or whatever.
I love to sit here and think about it because it was such a good question. So yeah, it was lovely.
I wanted to add also that is good you take that brought that up. Is that many think that Dancing in Hell was written during a pandemic and recorded because of a pandemic, but the songs were written before the pandemic.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it just goes to show that stuff that has meaning, stuff that is true, stays true even when you yourself don't have a rough period. You know what I mean?
It's still
so
relatable.
so when you get to that rough period, you can relate.
Well, I think with the empowerment element to it, it's, and you're right, the music is very empowering, but I don't think it's like empowering in the sense where like everything's going to be okay, you could do it. I think it's more or less kind of like it is almost representing, look, this is a fucked up world, it's challenging, nobody's going to be there for you. Like, I think it's a brutally honest form of empowerment. And you make it epic at the same time. And one thing that I really think defines the sound of Eleine is both of you collaborating together. You know, like when I heard Crawl, one thing I loved about Crawl from the Ashes is to have the voice, but also have the growls incorporated in there as well. Does everybody in the band kind of need to be in the same frame of mind in order to make everything work together, or does maybe having different sources of inspiration or feeling different things at the time play a role into the sound of Eleine?
Well, Madeline and I write all the music and the lyrics, and we know how stuff is supposed to sound. With that said, everyone needs to be in the same kind of mindset. Yes, we do that during our rehearsals when we do our choreography and whatnot, you have to have that certain thing. You can't play a very, very heavy songs like Die From Within and be like, here comes a big smash with the guitar and you do, yeah, you can't really do that because
No.
it just breaks the immersion for the viewer on live gigs. And also if you're a listener and you have that mental image of a guy going like this during a heavy song like that, it just doesn't work. So yes, you need to be in a certain mindset.
Yeah, unless you're pop punk.
Unless you're pop punk,
Yep.
then you can be happy and everything sucks.
Yeah.
And Ricker, can you help me? One of our fans said something that I really liked when it came just about the empowering thing that we were talking about.
I'll do my best.
Who was it? Said it's like it's melancholic yet hopeful,
No.
and that really stuck with me
Could it-
because that is I don't remember exactly who it was,
I
but
don't remember.
I really appreciated it because yes, like you said, like yeah, okay, it's a fucked up world, but we maybe can get through this, you know. And I really like that because that is speaking the truth, you know, instead of trying to, you know, ignore.
Sugarcoat.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's not sugarcoated.
Although sugar is sweet.
I think it's
What?
well, it shows the beauty of all things macabre and dark, and I think that's something that people don't address often. You know, if people want to express dark elements, they like to be brutally honest. And you know, this isn't beautiful. Like you know, as speaking of Sweden, you know, as a fan of depressive, suicidal black metal, it doesn't shy away from like the darkness and agony that bands in like Shining or Life Lover express. But I feel like Eleine makes it like beautiful. It actually you make you show beauty in things that people would find unsettling.
Oh, thank you very much,
That
man.
was very sweet of you to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Anytime. Do you feel also because I do got to ask this, Dancing in Hell, we've played it relentlessly, and to hear it Acoustic in Hell brings a new lease of life into it. Is there also a chance that this is something to hold the fans over while we await for another full-length Eleine album?
Oh, we've been saying that. Or you can say it. You say it so well. I've been talking too
Yeah,
much.
we have been saying that it is in between albums thing, yes. But we can already now say that next year new music will come out.
Oh hell yeah, I can't wait. And we could leave it at that because I know that this isn't like a representation of the direction that Eleine is going to go into.
Yeah, no.
No, exactly.
When it comes to the inspiration, whether it would be for music or lyrics, do you are you always looking with inward to express this, or is there like external sources of inspiration that you look at as well, whether it would be other mediums of art or film or history or something?
As I said before, great question, by the way. As I said before, we write about what we know, what we feel, and what we see. Maybe not in that particular order before,
No,
but
maybe no
sounds
order.
well now also.
Yeah.
So yes, there are inspiration from different sources also.
Yeah,
Yes.
really. It's everything that you've been through, are going through, and what we see around us. But
Yep.
also, I get very, very inspired by movies, you know, like everything from the actual movie scores. I mean, I've looked at series that is like maybe not that good, but the music
music,
is
yeah.
fantastic, you know, and that can be very inspiring, you know. It's
And I
it
get
is
so
very
inspired by video games. Like often now when I've written some parts and the orchestrations and everything, I actually if I wrote something, all right, this sounds pretty badass, because it's still badass metal, you know.
Yeah.
I put that on and put it on repeat, and I turn to my left where I have my little gaming station also in the studio. So I play a game, and if the music makes me feel like, all right, this feels right within this game, an action game or whatever, or a sentimental game, then I know, okay, we're on the right path. It feels good.
It's a very interesting process to look at when
Yeah.
he's doing that. It's like, okay, he just turns around, he's done something that is great, and sometimes it is, fuck, something's missing, and just sit there with your like playing whatever you do, and then it is just like, oh, now I got it.
Yeah, and then
It's
pause
very,
the game
very-
and record something else.
Very interesting.
Sometimes. And it's quite interesting that it's gotten to that. It's first now that I do that, actually.
Yeah.
That it's gotten to that point where I like reverse it. Instead of like getting inspired by the thing we're watching or playing or listening to, I reverse it. So if I get inspired while listening to our own music and playing the thing, very cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And they,
I like
I've always said, I think the number one artist, when I think of future collaboration, it should be with Hans Zimmer or Two Steps from Hell, like one of those soundtracks.
Yes.
Ah, that would be great.
Yeah.
that would be a big dream come true. That would be fantastic.
That would take a load off my mind. Oh shit, yeah.
You
Yes, right.
never need to play another
Hans,
video
if you're
game
listening,
again.
call me.
Yeah. Well, let's make this happen. We got to make this happen. We'll start a petition. You mentioned that there's also a choreography that goes with Eleine, and definitely, like, I see imagery when I listen to the music, and I've looked at your photo shoots and everything. Does the vision of the choreography of your live shows, or even within like the album presentation, does that image come after you already have like an album written, or you already have a set list cultivated, or does has like maybe like a vision maybe dictated the direction of the sound as well?
A little bit of everything
Yeah.
you just said, like literally
yeah.
a little bit.
Because sometimes even when you're halfway writing a song, you just see it in front of you like live, and it's very cool. You get us thinking really about the process here. I like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
especially like look at A Vow of Death, all right? And you hear that chicka-dun, 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 chicka. We just like at the very millisecond writing that chicka-dun, chicka-dun,
Yeah,
chicka-dun,
I
we
felt
just
it.
saw windmills all the way, windmills.
I was like, I don't even care what you guys are gonna do. I'm gonna windmill, and we're like, yeah,
everyone's
let's do
gonna
it.
windmill. Hell yeah.
Oh,
So that was like just king.
Yeah.
You're gonna make everybody windmill now. We got like it'll be like the windmill headbanging dance. We got to try to also make that happen. I think In This Moment came the closest to it. So
Let's make a TikTok trend of windmilling to Eleine. I mean,
Yeah, well, the clip is we did upload a clip when we do A Vow of Death.
that's true.
On Instagram, it went
TikTok.
viral. On Instagram, it went viral, and on TikTok, we also uploaded it, and it's very popular. And it's very nice to see that people really. It is like they really feel it, even if the audio quality it sucks. It's like a cell phone clip, It's, but still, people can feel it. They can feel the vibe from the actual gig. So I would
cool.
love if everyone that hears this go to our social medias, check out the clip, and do one of your own. I mean, just feel it. It is a very powerful feeling.
I
It
know,
is.
I know, and it's sure a breath of fresh air from all
Right?
the twerking videos as well. I must say. Yeah, like, and do you feel like when you're in the studio and you have to track this element, because the studio is a very confined and static environment sometimes, it's not as expansive as a stage. Do you almost feel like that's the ultimate challenge, to kind of take that energy that's expressed in a live show and express that into the album? You really succeed in that regard, but I'm wondering if that is like an extra challenge to bring into the studio.
I think it's the other way around. Really, speaking just for myself, for me, it's the other way around, because you can make it sound badass in the studio, but then to bring that live, that is the hard part for many. Vocals are the way is the other way around, but with playing the music, I know many have like massive backing tracks, like guitars and stuff like that. We don't have guitars on backing tracks. We don't have vocals on backing tracks either. We have the symphonic arrangement, maybe choirs if we sing the extra choirs, but no guitars and nothing like that. So that is the key part to bringing it live. What do you say, Eleine?
Well, for me, it's. I'm sitting here thinking again. I just like that. The brain is working. Like it has become during the years, I really felt that I really found my place more and more, like the mindset before doing anything that is related to Eleine. Like if you speak of live gigs, I really, I don't know how to say this, but I mean, there was this one lady that I kind of know this summer. She somehow got backstage 2 minutes before we got on stage, and she was leaning in for a hug, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Just leave me, And she was like, is this not the right time? No, we're going on stage. I had my moments of those 10 minutes where I actually feel not evil, but I am so crazy focused, and I want to destroy the stage. I get totally into my black metal mode,
Oh, hell yeah.
When I am 10 minutes before a gig, you should not disturb me, okay? If it's not something very, very like urgent. But that feeling has grown during the years, like right before I go, because during the years we have done Elaine more and more. We have discovered the world. I have experienced people around me and out in the world, and somehow I've grown into the human being I am now. And I've really found my place and my mindset before I go and I know why I do it. That is the thing. I actually do have a bunch of, especially women in other bands, like in Sweden in particular, who has asked me, all kinds of questions and how should we do this and what is the best way to do this to become successful and whatnot. Well, the first thing I always ask them is you have to understand why you're doing this. Ask yourself, why are you doing this? Really, why? Is it because you want to become famous? Because that to me is not something that I've been striving forever. It is something that comes with the job. Yeah. And I am okay with it. But it's not my main goal. I want to make music. I want to make people feel things. I want to make people grow as human beings because of the music. Spread your thoughts out there and just evolve,
Yeah, and not just regurgitate other people's music.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really found that like mindset, and I also bring that into the studio. But every time we go into the studio, except for this Acoustic in Hell, it is new music. It is a new feeling I need to find for each and every track. I know what it is about, but it's still like, it is a very interesting journey to make a new album.
Do you feel that?
I'm really looking forward to it.
Do you feel that every album do you feel that every album, whether it will be the self-titled or Until the End or Dancing in Hell, do you want every album to only be a representation of who Eleine is at that particular time? Or do you think that maybe as you grow as an artist, maybe the art can also evolve and grow with you? Do you think that maybe, because you mentioned actually that you wrote Dancing in Hell long before the pandemic, but releasing it at the end of the 2020 kind of made a little too much sense as well. So, like, do you think that maybe albums can also evolve as you evolve?
Do you mean future albums?
Or past albums? Do you think that maybe the meaning of it can have a new layer of meaning as you evolve as well?
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, of course. You yourself, like, just look back at when you yourself were a teenager. Stuff that you felt and thought about may not reflect what you feel and think about now. And the other way around also.
Yeah.
Like, I would never think this way, and then later on you think that way. But it is also within expressing yourself and not just these thoughts within. I think for us, we really know what we write about, and we really have deep connections with what we write about. It would only be if we realize, oh, I was wrong about people having struggles. Oh, okay, I changed my mind. For me, I don't know. But yes, an album can evolve, but that really, to me, has to do with the person listening to it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think people's interpretations of it is almost like the seeds that help the album grow as soon as it's out.
Exactly. I mean, just look at Until the End. That album, our second album, it had songs about loss, and something that many people have gotten aware about and also lived through is loss since 2020. So in that regard, Until the End, our second album, which was released in 2018, would become contemporary.
Yeah. Like Sanity, I know a lot of people do relate to Sanity because that is one of the songs that grew the most during the pandemic. That is from earlier albums, like before Dancing in Hell. And I understand that because we don't write like, lyrics that are boop on your nose in that manner. But it's like, still you can relate.
Like on Monday the 16th, I had
Yeah,
this
exactly.
issue. It was this year, it was this problem, this specific problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do believe. Is it called timeless in English as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
It is directly translated in my head from Swedish now. Yeah, I like when it's timeless. Like, okay, I can still relate to this 20 years later, you know? And I like that myself when I listen to music.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
before we go, I want to thank you both so much for your time and for such a great part two. First question, finally, I want to ask kind of two questions in one. First, if you're allowed to say when we could be expecting a brand new Eleine album, and two, will there ever be a chance you're coming to the States? Because when I was in Sweden, I was at Bandit Festival, and I saw a couple people in Eleine t-shirts, and I was like, I need to see this band. Like, I was asking them, did you see them? Did you see them? Like, they were surprised that an American was like, wait, you know this? I was like, yes. I was like, but
Cool.
so can you
It's so
please come to the
sweet.
States one day?
All right, so to answer properly here, let's see. Number one, about the next album.
When?
We cannot say exactly when,
No.
but we can say that next year will be very busy from pretty early on for us. That is the closest we can go.
We can say it won't be January 2nd and it won't be December 31st.
But we
Okay.
can say that
a good way of putting
if
it.
any one of the listeners are like, okay, I really want to know more already now, and I do have $3 a month to get access to it and actually support the band directly, we always say that Patreon is a great place to support us directly. Our Patreon helped us survive the pandemic. Eleine still exists only because of our patrons. I mean, it is very hard to express our gratitude enough for that. But we do share. I almost say often that I maybe share too much on our Patreon, but patrons already now know some of the plans for next year. So if you cannot just, hold it, just please join. If you're up for it, not everyone can, and we totally get that.
Definitely.
We, if anyone, actually understands that. But the entire year of next year will be busy, and when it comes to US, we can say that we are working very hard on that part because it is a big goal of ours as well.
Yeah.
We do have another band we're talking with in the US that we really want to tour with, and the thing is that the hardest part right now is to find someone like a good agency to work with that can help you set up the first round, of touring. Or the best way would actually be for Eleine to be a support act to another big band in the US as a first run.
Metallica.
Because but really it is because many of the agencies, before you make your own headline tour, they really want to make sure, okay, is Eleine really popular here when they're support act? Can they make an audience over here? So if you as a listener have any idea, please recommend Eleine to the bands you like that you know will tour in the US. And if you know a good agent, they can always reach out.
Big or small.
Yeah.
Big or small.
And I think Eleine has an advantage too, where like I could see you do a support act for Epica or Nightwish, but I could also see you on a tour with a Dimmu Borgir at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Or I could see you do a tour with Lacuna Coil. I could see you do a tour with At the Gates. I think that there's a long list of bands that you'll and a lot of different audiences that would definitely appreciate you guys.
I really appreciate you saying that, because that is kind of how I think that, we do fit with so many bands, but at the same time, I'm a part of my band, and of course, I want us to tour a lot. So it was nice to hear that from you as well, Alex.
When I showed
Really
somebody
appreciate it.
when I showed somebody you guys for the first time, I showed them Crawl from the Ashes, and they said, and they meant it as a compliment. They said, "Yeah, I'll call this band Lacuna Borgir, like or Dimmu Coil in a way, like so." So
So sweet.
yeah. So
I mean, every freaking verse in that song is varied, by the way, in how you play it. So it is a nightmare
Here
to
comes some
remember everything.
nerd information.
is that why is that why we don't hear it on the Acoustic in Hell EP?
Oh no, it just came down to dynamics, really.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it really did.
It was on up on the board, though.
Okay.
It was.
Well, I hope
Yeah.
you play it live when you come to the States.
Oh yeah, love to play it.
Yes, so please keep your fingers crossed for a some US dates at least. I mean, it would be great. We really want that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Eleine. Be sure to check out the Acoustic in Hell EP, and be sure to check out Dancing in Hell as well. A perfect soundtrack to the times that we live in. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.